We've read the territorial acknowledgement, and so I will ask if there's anyone who has any modifications to the agenda. Seeing none, I will repeat though that we are running very tight on quorum today. We have 10 right now, and we need 8 to continue. So if you are leaving the meeting in person or on Zoom, please just interrupt at any time and just let us know that so we can make sure that we're following our rules. Okay, but we'll try to be efficient so everybody can get early on time. I don't people have to be done. So, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we do not have any presentations or delegations, so we will move to administrative business. Now, after the Hoover Sector for the minutes for the June 25th, Skylar and Hugh. Is there any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. No business not rising from the correspondence, so we'll go right to our report for consideration. Item 6.1, 2025, preliminary budget, draft budget. I'll turn that over to you, Tracy. We'll certainly need to ensure Medicare program services are sustainable.
Thank you, Brian. For the chair, we do have a short presentation to pull up regarding our preliminary draft 2025 budget. And again, I'm going to emphasize this is our preliminary draft. It's very early in the process, but with our ability to computer, that's provided us with much more information than we've ever provided at this stage of the budget in the past. It may have been a little bit overwhelming because it's so much detail, but those are the types of reports that we provide on a regular basis for the full this office. Still a bit of a learning curve, and this is still the very first budget that we've been fully undertaking with our new categorization. A little bit of a learning curve. Put that in context for you. So Emily, if you can advance to the next slide, please. There's kind of 3 primary discussion topics that we talked about through this preliminary report that's been included in your package. First is focusing on that the budget figures are going to change over time. We're going to be continuously refining our numbers. This is early in the process, and as projects are nearing estimation stages, those will be added and incorporated into the budget as we continue to improve it. Right now, this budget, as presented, illustrates a balanced budget for Category 1 programs, assuming that that 66.4% revenue is attributed to that. We're always working to minimize the deficits compared to last year's to try to balance. And also recognizes that there is increases in the share of our programs and services for Category 1. Touch on Category 2 and 3, but really the focus on this budget was about our Category 1 programs and maintaining that these are now required bonds. Next slide. So some of our key considerations that informed our development of this preliminary draft was recognizing the need to increase the municipal share of those mandatory programs and services operating costs. We want to make sure that we're continuing to deliver provincially mandated programs within the provincial timelines that are required. And certainly there's some things that can't accept a lesser service standard. And just operate our collective programs through the new development. Through the new mandatory programs and services levy, I budget apportionment regulations, we are eligible to apply and fully support funding from the municipal budget for roads right about. In the past, it's just been around 60% that levy support has been provided. Again, we've also been doing deficit budgets in the past and recognizing that we want to make sure that we're maintaining these and also have some reserves in place for when unexpected events happen. Our long-term goal is to reduce reliance on those other less dependable sources of funding. Again, looking for some stability there, for services, and to have things responsible for services. The 2025 preliminary budget demonstrates a $1.021 billion there's $1.1 million budget, so exactly it's up there. And these numbers will change a little bit. But that again, that's the municipal component. It's around 66.4% for the category operating expenses. Municipal levy does not cover all those category 1 operating expenses. It allows us to ensure that we're going to continue to provide those programs at the level. Just wanted to note as well, this also aligns with what the multi-year city of London process is. The 11 members might want to. We also recognize that there's a bit of a balance here. The tolerance of member municipalities to absorb continuing provincial downloading and those are required programs. This is something that Tom is telling us you shall undertake. Our very early estimates for 2025 back in last year's budget package, which was approved, we have a laminated copy here. It was showing about a 12% increase in revenue costs, both in volume, both in context, was something that was kind of on the horizon, but yet fully flushed out. We certainly have a significant impact to both category 1 and category 2 programs because of a large federal grant that we're anticipating for 5 years. And then another 5 years beyond. There's always some challenges with happening. There could be some provincial government changes and federal government changes. But we're also recognizing continuous impact workforce changes as well. Our wage rate increases, CPP, insurance premium increases. They're typically above those inflationary amounts to typically account for. Insurance has always been a variable that's usually well beyond possibility increases, and also want to prepare for cybersecurity and for changes. We still also have to keep our capital infrastructure good, so those maintenance as well. Many projects have been deferred, and the provincial grant program for the WACI hasn't been changing. So wanted to make sure that we're prepared for those maintenance costs. Next slide. And so what included that stability system, make sure that we have enough funding to be able to fully deliver those mandatory services at the current levels that we are. We're recognizing that wage costs in relation to inflation and also to remain competitive. We want to make sure that we are being competitive and reducing the risks of escalating attention issues. We're expecting amounts from new federal grants, so included in this preliminary draft. Grants currently being pushed. There's also some costs anticipated for improvements in maintenance for GIS services upgrade, other IT needs to be maintained, and some of those modernization issues. But also, when you look at the wages year over year, there really wasn't any additional full-time equivalents or staffing asked, except where needed for the federal grant program. Programs specifically, and not attributed to type. Next slide. There's alternative levy amounts for operating and category 2 mandatory programs. In the lines of the data, sorry about that. Hopefully you can see that okay. What's been proposed in the packet for you is approximately a 15.2% increase. That amount in levy is that $1.12 million amount. At 66.4% of operational costs for category 1. Some of the risks and implications are identified also in these tables, and also where projected deficits are. So some of the options we'll consider. First, as mentioned, what's been included in the package shows the stability of programs, service delivery, reduces reliance on our reserves. It also meets that fiduciary responsibility for providing provincial aid. If you had a 12% increase for capital applied, that would be an amount of $883,000. and just less than 65% of the cost. That would also produce a deficit in the amount of $251,000. It also relies on alternative funding sources, and continues with our low levels of reserves, needs to complete those reserves and forecasted to be unstable. An 8% increase would result in $508,000 additional levy ask, and about 62% of costs to operate that program. A projected deficit would be in the amount of $508,000, and more heavily reliant on those alternative funding sources, ultimately increasing that risk to the organization and necessitate more reserves. And then the final one showed 3% increase, the total levy amount just $223,000, and just less than 60%. So keeping on track what we've done last year. But it limits our ability to leverage those additional municipal contributions to other projects and opportunities. Really, there's no more than all the dollars are used up. So having some additional flexibility cost of the programs becomes limited as well. Projected deficit of over $90,000. We would be able to provide a 3% wage increase, and then again, that would give us this one to the organization and relies on those additional funding sources with that substantial risk. Next slide. We look for other potential revenues or cost savings as well. These revenues change. Currently, they're around 35% recovery of fees. Our policy is a 50% recovery of those costs for planning and regulations specifically. That would have had around $300,000 to $350,000 fees collected, but right now our risk is that the fees may not be collected. We would still require consultation prior to any fees implementations. It will be effective January 1st fall, and it assumes the same level of planning and permitting activity as estimated. We are seeing a lot different planning applications right now. I believe that we might see a full glut come in later on in the year, or maybe in future years. Just consultations, not actually. The category 1 corporate allocations, we've got just over $883,000 impact that we offset. We collect those allocated costs from category 3 contracts and apply to our service cost centers to reduce those category overheads.
So those are already in.
Those are already in. But recognizing that our contracts are not always guaranteed or predictable year, but changing government especially either provincially or federally, or maybe both in the next years. Maybe land sales is another potential revenue, but London values at this time. Until sales are underway, which properties are deemed surplus. But that one-time funding shifts revenue into future years and uses up those funds. Instead of use for land sales for operational needs, really versus using the specified reserves for purchases of other grants, using the investment income reserves. And then look at a couple of alternative compensation. 2.75 increase versus a 3% increase. That would lessen the cost. $37,000. Not substantially, I would think, especially when we invest in competitive and being able to attract and retain staff. Next slide, please. Capital budget is always another separate conversation. It's got to plan for 2025 to maintain their aging infrastructure. Those costs vary significantly among the special benefit municipalities. They're not distributed equally, so certainly municipalities certainly larger amounts attributed to them. Of course, we've always applied for alternative funding to offset those capital costs for municipalities, especially electric. And electric pot, it's only 5 million, 36 years required for that, so it's oversubscribed. But when known, we applied a good funding and updated our project costs to be reflected in the draft. But this is certainly something that Chris and his team will be going to speak to remember this next year. Next slide. We'll get a little bit of a reminder of the budget development schedule. When they started back in March, staff initiated work plans for 2025, predicted budget needs. June we brought the board directions, but concepts. And now here we're at the stage where it's the preliminary draft. And we want to get that feedback, and then we'll take that out for municipal input sessions with senior staff before finalizing a draft budget. That's anticipated to come back here in October, and then approved and circulated to councils. And requested municipal input and circulation to all of our municipalities. January for reviews, any of those municipal comments, any reconsideration of the draft budget to bring the budget. With this, want to get some discussion going with members and recommend in addition to recommendations that there's opportunity to discuss the financing. That perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Tracy. We've discussed it going here, but I think Tracy, the presentation gave a great overview about the challenges that we're facing this year. We're always trying to have a balanced budget, trying to get out of that deficit situation that we're in. That creates challenges. Certainly, the changing landscape that we have politically. We need stable funding, as it sounds, to make sure that we do our operations. Fortunately, the municipality right now is the one that is going to provide that. There is some work there. I think, to me, when I see this in the information in here, we started some advocacy work, which I'll touch on the chairman part how it's going, but I think there's some more that we need help from our municipalities here to understand what they're going to face, and certainly in the capital side, the aging infrastructures, they can use some work in there as well to try to get some more stable funding going forward for that, which will help municipalities. But certainly there's some challenges going forward, by the sounds of it, to make sure that staff have been really good at going out and getting money, but that's not guaranteed. It seems like that's getting harder and harder to get. Certainly the current federal government has been a very good partner, but we don't know what future governments are going to be like. Rhetoric has not been good. And so I think that's why you're seeing here today a recommendation for staff to switch from municipal, from that riskier type of funding, the grants, switch to more stable funding in the future to make sure that maintain that. I will say that the preliminary numbers going to London were 30%. I had conversations with Mayor Morgan, so I think staff did a good job of trying to listen to municipalities and seeing where that is, and the situation has climbed that way. Certainly, it's allowed to go to 100% funding category one. I think that we see the middle ground, which is good. Hopefully changes can happen that allows to have more of those funding, those fee-related items, which is stable because you don't get money. So that would be a positive. And you can see it'd be significant. Those fees, that fee revenue, because it's not included in the budget. Right? So yeah, so if you have $350,000, that brings that down quite substantially on the levy. It's real money, and that's only 50%. Some boards have 100% mandate for them, and I think that when I talk to people going out, that would be the next feedback we want from municipalities. Where do you want, as a municipality, where do you want to see that cost of recovery go? We get these reads with it. Where do you want to see that cost of recovery go? We're here to listen. 50% is there, but 70% is really the municipalities for that, because there's some real dollars on the table there for the cost of municipalities. So I'll open up for further discussion and some questions, because it is going to go to finance and audit committee. I think our chair, Sandy, would like to start. I'll have to hear that information, that's the further discussion. Who would like to start? Paul?
To the chair, Tracy, you referenced several times about the significant federal grant. And that was first talked about at our June meeting. I think the number then was $5 million. So on table 1, under category 3, it's got federal provincial grants contracts, $5.4 million. Does that include the anticipated $5 million grant?
Yes.
And follow up on that. Are we in June? I think Christine said we were 95% sure that was going to happen. Are we at this point 100% sure of the amount, the timing, and also what restrictions are on that grant? It's $5 million. Is hugely significant.
Tatiana, she wants to step forward and reply to that. But very much reading that grant application. Really amazing work.
Yes, through the chair. So right now I'm currently working on the work planning process. So I'd say we're probably still 95% coverage, just because nothing is final until we have that signed agreement. And then what's else that you were like for any questions? Sorry.
The timing of it, we'll be into, like it will be in fiscal 2025.
Yeah, so as far as my understanding, when we got the letter saying that we are a favorable candidate for the funding, we'll be able to backdate to our 2024 timeline, which will be towards the end of June.
And this is, there are restrictions on what we can use this money. So how much can we shift it around, or does it all have to be category 3?
Well, a large part of it is for category 3 programming. It'll be mostly cost share dollars for agricultural stewardship projects, but part of that funding will be for to help alleviate some of the category 1 costs, so like admin costs, for example.
And so in that way, it would have an impact on municipal levy.
Yes, we do. So what you see in the document there, and what you see on the slide is that's one of the risks that happen. 95% sure that did not happen. There is some cost that can be shifted over to category 1. And that's the risk for all category 3 programs. Most of them, it's 12% municipal funded. So those costs that are given to category 2, 3, category 1, if they don't happen, that's a negative impact towards the levy. Okay. But it's a positive impact if they are contributing. So that's
So if worst case scenario and 5% comes through, we don't get this funding or the funding's reduced, then the discussion is that we either increase the municipal levy more than we're talking at this point, or have a deficit in category 1.
Some of the costs we do have.
the cost would go down to category 1 cost of offset. We would probably do that, depending on the timing of the step that coach staff did before we pass the budget.
Okay. But at this point, we're confident enough to include that money in the projection.
Further questions or discussion?
Yes, but Chair, as you said, Brian, that fees, planning, et cetera, is large impact on whenever it gets left in then another discussion, because that have a huge impact on the total levy system, you know, if we were done. But I think what I heard Tracy say, which and thank you, report was very detailed, probably a little more detailed than I'm not going through all that. But I believe what was said in there was that there's no new staff for the following year. And I guess the one thing I was looking at with the full-time equivalents, we might have, I'm not sure where all we got to last year or there yet. And then you're looking at crystal ball down the road, where you're going to need all those in 2026 or anything like that, because those are other things that may help. But I do believe it is, 50% sounds like a lot, you know, on the levy, et cetera, but I understand we have to get there. So I'm kind of fine with that, but I'm just thinking down the road. So the ones that do get special benefits, and I'm thinking of small communities like St. Mary's, et cetera, especially with Wildwood, these old infrastructures. I mean, all of a sudden, if somebody come out and said, we need provincially or federally, we're not funding these, you need $100 million. Those are concerns down the road. You know, I don't have any idea the answer. I think it's something that we really got to be talking about, letting the people that we know that there is some huge dollars coming down the road at some point in time, and well, for some of these watersheds.
But I think that is exactly right, and that's why we need an initial partners. We can say it's conservation authority because we know, but our you know, London, St. Mary's, you guys are at significant risk going forward, and we need to give you that information so you can advocate for the dollars. This structure up here was paid with provincial federal money. So now it's being put on the tax base, property taxes, to fund that repair now going on. For the most part, now there is the WECI funding, but everybody was required to do asset management. And I think they have more aging infrastructure. That number has not gone up. You're gonna see, and we saw it now, some of the projects were not funded that we're hoping to because there was a much more ask for those dollars. That money hasn't raised up. The costs are going up. So through an asset management system, it needs to be funded more. But I think we got a lot more advocacy work to do, and I think it is good that we have elected officials around the table because we're the ones that gotta come up with the money to pay for it for our own budget. So it's we're really seeing the download effect. That's another download there of having to pay for that infrastructure. That really is a much more broader regional effect on the system. You can think it, and it won't because I know we'll take care of it regardless. But if that dam failed, economic impact to the province and the region is horrific. So there's a good business case there for the provincial government to step up and fund those projects to make sure it's sustainable. That's what looks like we're in right now is that funding is not. More projects deferred, and we can see later in your update that those costs are going up significantly. Yeah.
One thing I'd like some feedback from board members on is you probably noticed in the report that the clean water money is not linked to increases. And that the levies that we're already paying is subsidizing a provincially mandated program. So we could put a separate levy called the Clean Water Levy. Either way, it's required for the municipality to pay its share, but this would stand it out as a download. Right now, it's small potatoes. It's what, $35,000, $37,000. Will it increase over time? Yes. Administratively, it might be a bit of a headache to track, but would it be a good thing or a negative thing? Or I'd be interested in knowing if your municipality would like to see that as a separate levy or buried within the existing levy.
I would say I could see it's a separate line item. All your buried things, then things get lost. And if you know specifically what you're paying for, that's far better idea than burying. But my question was on page 10, the first number one there, the increased money for category 1 programs, then it says any additional increases could be shown as a deficit. So I'm not really understanding that. Like if you're getting increases, why would you show it as a deficit?
If the chair, the increase wasn't enough to cover the full cost, then we would be in a deficit situation. The balance with category 1 programs is there's all around other opportunities.
Yep. No. I was just, you're getting more money, but it's still, the way it's written, it almost feels like you're still saying that even though we've got an increase, I understand it's still a deficit, it's still not 100%. It's just the wording of it.
I think also like that, these are really preliminary numbers. They're very specific because the system puts in pretty specific numbers. But there's a lot of unknowns, I think there's a lot of unknowns still in the budget. So if this is the data right now to do it, it could be that you need to go to a 60% to have a balanced budget. Or to be 40. So they need to.
No, it was just.
To speak to Sandy, I would say that I would like to see it separately as well. The Clean Water Act, that's supposed to be fully funded by the government. Problem is we put tax on there. So it's like, we'll fully fund it here. But again, we all know what happens, costs go up, and then all of a sudden now it spills out. Now it's they still get the tagline saying we're paying 100% of this. 100% of what will cover, not the 100% cost. So I think it is important. We just had a lot of direction from the province on what we can do and what we do. It's important to separate that, allow municipalities to know and advocate on behalf of, or their behalf, really where they want those charters to be and how they're funded. You know, the great thing about, amazing thing about conservation, they've done this, they were allowed at the provincial level, but they had to start at the municipal level. And they had a lot of, there was a lot of control then about what wanted to happen. And the province was there to help fund those big items. Kind of switched around now. They have a lot of control of what goes on, and we get to help fund and their priorities. So the more we can break that out, I agree with you, the more we can break it out and show where drivers are and who's paying for it, but who should be paying for it, that gives our municipalities a lot clearer. They have a bigger voice, let's face it, they have a bigger voice when it comes to the table with the province, and it's always helpful to have them help us out. Is that it?
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to triple check, because I read it in the report, but the increase that is being suggested in this one is already built within the city's multi-year budget and it would approve by the city limit. Yeah. Yes.
I'm looking at the same with the final numbers, so your percentages might be a little bit different.
Yeah,
depending on
the new consumer. Yeah, but
it should be added.
okay, great. Just want to check because I know that our council is very reluctant to see any additional increases, so if it's already within our budget, great. And then the other thing I had a question of is I know we're doing a lot of advocacy around fees freeze. And I'm wondering, has there ever been, or would there be interest in doing advocacy about the Conservation Authorities Act, transfer payment agreements, and the Clean Water Act, and advocacy about those given how minimal they've been? Because to me, those seem like pitiful amounts of provincial funding, and that should be a very, in my opinion, easy way to advocate, because it's almost embarrassing.
I would 100% agree with you. Again, the group of people talking about that, certainly been Conservation Ontario. Those have been loud voices, but municipal partners coming together would be great. And I think that's the whole goal is to, you know, when we did meet with Mr. Smith, that was a message that I personally was, did we lose a lot of good people on the board that are there, really good people, a lot of skill set? Yes. But did we gain people who are in a different position and educate them? Yes, and that's a positive. We can go back to let the officials and educate our council. A lot more people on conservation authorities from other councils and gain that knowledge. We have the ability to advocate, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. 300% is what we have to do if we're going to see meaningful change, because otherwise we're still built. Because we don't have a choice. We don't have the conservation authority has to do these items. We have to use it. Yeah, how that would work. Well, we do cross benefit. We do special benefiting as a user fee. We do the general levy, and then that grant. So the grants are, if the funding's not there, there's only really one option. It's going to do happen. They both end up in municipalities paying.
And so I guess to follow up on that, I'm not sure that what the plan is with the fee freeze. It's a very coordinated effort that is obviously coming from discussions with them. It's probably kind of ushered through with other type of support. I'm wondering if something similar could be done for these two, because as much as I appreciate the work that Conservation Ontario does, it's kind of abstract, I think, in my opinion, at least from London. It's at arm's length. Whereas again, if there was some mechanism on it, it's like having a short-term advocacy task force looking at these, like made of board members, it's board staff or board's responsibility, not staff's responsibility. I'd be willing to serve on that or I don't know what, but essentially I think somebody needs to stick handled through councils.
Excellent. I love when people volunteer. But no, absolutely. And I think once we go through the budget process, once we have a solid budget at the end of the time, we'll have next year's advocacy stuff to go, okay, here's, this, I'll be honest, it was very well received overall for that information. And I think that the more we communicate, the better, the more we understand. So I think we need constant communication on that issue interpretation. So I would say that. So absolutely. Oh,
I would agree with the suggestion that we separate the levy from the clean water part for all this is spoken. Question though on advocacy, which we talked about, and the one piece of advocacy we have done is on the decrease, which out there says it's, depending on how you look at it, it's costing us 300 to 350,000 a year because we can't raise our fees. Since our last meeting, there was a letter sent out to municipalities asking for their support. I just wondered what kind of responses has the Upper Thames got back from municipalities.
If it's okay, I was going to do that in the chair. Marcus, I'll give an update on that. So, it's been good.
Okay, I just thought because it's on.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah, I understand his comment. I think it's important to separate a little bit. Sometimes I worry that, because there's a lot of data there, and if it's a line item somewhere, 90% of municipal will never see it. So I do believe that it's real important in that executive summary to highlight the downloading impacts of the budget. Just because that's what people want to know what it is and what it impacts.
Is there anybody online that doing discussion? Anna.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add my support for pulling out that provincial downloading. I think it's a great opportunity for all of our councils to be educated on exactly the situation. I think more information that is shared, not only with councils, but with everyone, with the community. We're all better informed, so very supportive.
How does everybody feel? If we go to the slide where alternatives, staff did provide some different options there, but you can see as we go down from a balanced budget, zero deficit, one significant increase in the rest of the organization. I think the finance and audit committee, we're really feeling, are they feeling comfortable with the 15 point? Like, where's the risk tolerance level on this? It's one of those things where really we get to make the decision. We could have a 0% increase, but there would be significant consequences to that, a risk long term to the organization.
Do you want a balanced budget or not a balanced budget?
And let's be, staff have recommended a balanced budget because we have not had that in years past. We basically used up our reserves. So that's not a good thing. And so
The 3% is already getting approved the city of London's one, and that's what's included in this.
on top.
15% is already the one that's, yes, included in the city's budget. I'm happy with
You.
Doesn't matter which number you pick up there. People will be happy. So you have to do this. So that's what
What do you think this does?
well, so, skate not off. Thing happened, on reserve, but And you're, gonna be like that, some municipalities, it won't be, you know, 30%, 40%, so. You're better to, prepare for the future.
I would certainly agree with that. Again, we're not going 100% municipal levy funding, some CAs do, that's what they're up. It's still 66%, which means it's over, 35% funding being felt elsewhere. That's, if we did that municipality, we'd be rock stars, so that's pretty good. Oh, yeah.
No, I think, and of those options, the only one that isn't going to get a negative reaction is 3%. 3% is not an option because we don't have the reserves to do what we've done the last 2 or 3 budgets, which was cushion the impact on municipalities. So much as I don't like to see double-digit increases in anything. 15.2 is probably the way to go.
I would argue it's half of what was submitted for the multi-year budget. So I think the authority did a really good, because we had that communication back and forth, we knew where the targets were, and staff really went to bat and did what they could to make sure that happened. I feel it's very positive. I thank staff for that. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of challenges. You face a lot of rules being put down one way, a lot of costs go with them, and stuff. So I think that 15.2 is a very good positive, even though it's neither maximum sector. Mark.
Yeah, the chair, do we know the future budget packages like this, which CAs are 100% funding by municipalities? In other words, a bit of the sales to it, sort of saying we've gone from 60 to 66.4, but hey, over in Grand River, they're paying money. Whatever the CA might be.
Try to figure out that number. Well, some don't separate it for programs the same way, but I'm certainly looking at that. I know right off the top of my head, Rideau Valley is well over 80%.
My guess is it'd be smaller, some of the smaller, more rural-based one where they don't have as many areas. You're not getting the same programs and services requested that. Cost is more. Yeah.
Thank you, Sir Chair. Just originally we were looking at 30% and we were only getting line back down to 50. I guess I'm just in the back of my head. I know you're working on the asset management plan. Is that part of it that took the hit and getting down to this balanced budget, or?
Seeing the shape of the
Okay. This is only offering the asset management plan all capital. So the 15% is to deliver our programs on a day-to-day basis, year after year. Capital levy is something else. And I would argue that over time, the capital levy is going to be increasing much more rapidly.
I'm not seeing anybody take the head. So yeah, please, when we get more discussion after.
So what I would suggest is what's printed in our agenda from the item 1, with the budget we received, the preliminary budget we received. Number 2, that the 2025 draft budget be developed in conformity with the updated CA Act, blah, blah, blah. And a new number 3 to replace 3 and 4, which would be the draft budget for the Finance and Audit Committee to a September meeting to review the comments and the reserve policy.
Is there a second for that? So, further discussion on
That certainly helped if board members would email either through Tracy or directly to me any of your additional comments, and what's kind of dropped on you today. But we're not meeting until sometime in September, so there's lots of time to provide your feedback and thoughts around what's in the.
Question for Cindy. The change in motion from the recommendation, does that have any impact on staff moving forward with preparation? They would have to wait until we have feedback to them, or can we proceed with this?
So I'll ask staff, I didn't think so, but,
I just want to clarify.
yeah,
It's not going to interfere with all.
So, I've changed some of my business. It's like, the seemingly we all. As we get new estimates and contracts signed, we update them. And as of last Tuesday, this is what the budget.
Yeah, really, just getting feedback on the basis of that, kind of the general shape of it. We're not gonna see an actual draft budget until October, and that's gonna go, I will go back and get finalize everything. So lots of chance for input. But anything you can, the more input, with Sandy, the finance and audit committee, the staff, the better, that's how we, that's what. Further discussion? Okay. Thank you, everybody. It was really good to have that input. This is on it. Staff will appreciate it. Thank you as well. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. And 6.2. Project update to the weather control. No, I'm the wrong agenda. We already did that. Administrative bylaw, review all of that.
I can speak to that. Thank you, Chair. And just wanted to, as typical, we do a review of it, let's say, bylaw annually. What we've seen here, certainly thank you to Michelle. She's very diligent, keeping track of the changes, some of the recommendations that come to the board as we work through the bylaw. Where there's need for clarification, but also including some of those legislative changes and changes in legislation. Since you know, in the interest of our business, just some context as well, our original bylaw that we produced with the template example provided by Conservation Ontario. These are previous bylaw to develop, and I just again, it's really actually an opportunity for my presentation from Nigel, the governance and council meetings. That's where I serve sometimes we have tweaking updates. It's really really happy to very questions. So I think totally decisions.
And then we, 52, came, the most reconsider one, we had, maybe, came in the years. Probably under the. One thing would have to be somebody for the word.
I think it's to ask for just not that consideration, just to ask. That's
I just say, I don't know, I remember the focus and the whole thing. Reconsider. It has to be.
certainly in that.
Yeah, we can use, just a double check.
In one page that are bylaws and I together, but you have to be on the majority side where that's consideration.
And I definitely. What to reference. But it's something like Roberts or something like
Any questions procedurally that our bylaws speak to, for the other tools, so I will make sure to check them, make sure.
And it's just a came up.
Most important thing is that because once we agree on all of them. We have this possibly not be very clear that. Any other questions? Is there a move and seconder? Good. Moved. Second by Aaron. Further discussion on it? The report stated that these are all pre-approved items. All in favor? Opposed? That's. This is summary. We are not going to the camera, so I will ask. For mover second, the board of directors adjourned. Closed session, camera, section C that .13, UTRCA administrative bylaw to discuss a position plan and instructions for the client. You and Jim, discussions. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Perfect. So further discussion on that, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. We will now move on to reports for information. You have 8.1, which is section 28. Any questions on that report? Staff will be available afterwards as well. Mover to second receive report information. We'll go with Hugh and Paul this time. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Product status update, lots of stuff going on there, good information. Any questions about that one? Being not moving a seconder. Sandy moves, a second by Scott. Discussion on that. Absolutely.
I understand the strategic plan on each mission. And I also understand the staff making pregnant this month that we'll soon be getting when we have the principal.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's for the panel. Yes, we're working on the finalization of the involvement.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Then we'll go to your financial update. Is there anything staff would like to highlight or questions? Staff is always available if you have questions on those, but those will try to take down because you're mid-year and talking. Mover to second to receive that report. Skylar, here. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? That is here. I'm going to report city budget plan, emergency plan, climate, emergency action plan report. Questions on that? Information in there. So all great stuff you guys see there. How about on this value? They have to receive the request for that sort of information, a broader level of what salary environment. First thing I do is talk about conservation. Mover to second to receive that report. Skylar. And you. Further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That's scary. And next, we have a presentation of the wild.
We'll just pass over to Brent, if he wants to make a little bit of opening remarks, just some of the promotion we've been doing in our parks. This is for example. Those social media posts that have been shown.
Yes, thank you, Tracy, Chair. The core operations comes to a close, one of the things up to be assessing the CAs. NHL will head out and put all the hard work in that staff. Specialists. That's why this is the time. Population and demonstrate to review that while we put together on Friday the long weekend, not as long weekend. Oh, so just a nice engagement with social media and followers, our CAs, and we certainly see efforts placed on our CAs.
Excellent. Well, I was thinking I might see myself, because I didn't like camping there on weekend. Not even attest that everybody was smiling. That's not a joke. Staff was amazing. Certainly, I was there and I was but I can definitely say that every staff interaction, you can tell people really enjoyed the time there. It was packed, it was packed, everything was being well used. So, yeah, it's good to see people out using the parks, increasing that revenue. Any discussion on? Yeah, anybody on your second? Saturday, discussion? On the page? 8.6, have the recurrent. Yep. Information provided on all the agreements, subject to one within the watershed, remind all your fellow councilors to subscribe, if you strike for. Move to second to receive that. Both Paul and Dylan. Discussion. All those in favor? And we will go to reports, committee update, finance and audit, 9.1. Sandy, would like to provide anything about that?
Yeah, what we did, given staff a greater range of choice of criteria for various types of staff opening. The policies updated some of the minimum maximums that are involved and the anticipated returns of each of the forms of investment. And we've also updated the asset mix to long-term investment out of our holding that are managed by Philip Taylor North. We got a report from the investment managers that since this fund was established back in April 2018, there's been an annual return of 6.5% after fees. So each and every year, averages 6.5%. Last 12 months, as of March 31st, was 13%. So we were happy with the work that Phil Taylor has done for us. So he voted to continue to have them help us with that. And the other thing that we did was we shifted a small part of the portfolio into an infrastructure fund. Which has two holdings right now, one of which is a piece of the 407.
Yes, I was looking for reasons, I did notice there was reference to avoiding non-fossil fuel investments where possible. Given the likelihood for investing in stranded assets in the future, I'm wondering if avoiding, is that actually the first investing will actively try, is that like really passive term, because I understand about the interest in the try, but then still invest the large. You understand what the question is.
Yeah, our holdings are in managed funds, so we're investing in individual stocks. So one of the funds in particular is exclusively, it is a fossil fuel free fund. So none of the oil companies would do that, or the security of the pipeline companies that are it likely be that they do that. Not all of the funds that we are invested in are fossil fuel free funds. So for example, the bond fund that we're invested in, I don't believe there's available in the fossil fuel free, or if it is, it has not been shifted to that. So if it's the direction of the board that you want us to communicate with the investment manager that you get all the asset classes, we're available to fossil fuel free. That's a board decision.
There's something, should we take that back to the manager and see if they can tell us what that is? You know, that gives us a report on seeing what that is.
What I can tell you is I own retail funds from this investment here. So I don't have a conflict of interest in that. But they have parallel funds. And in some cases, the fossil fuel free one does better. And in some cases, it doesn't. So if you're interested in what the return is, certainly we should get that information, but I think what I understand the motion, it's regardless of that, you're asking the board to support the idea of all the funds we hold with the fossil fuel options that demand for the type of fund. So for example, the bond fund would be the fossil fuel free bond fund, regardless of the returns historically. Understands.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes, this is the board. So I actually have some opinions. So I'm fine if people prefer to have the back and forth and that kind of thing. But I mean, I would personally say yes.
The only thing I'm worried about is that there is the investment, policy down there, and the terms that we're looking for from the company. Like we've given them directions on where we want to go, something long term. We just, this was starting to make sure that we have enough money to pay for the capital going forward, and that where we could, we want to get cost free sense. My concern would be for them being saying, okay, if you do that in this situation, we can't meet the mandate, and then the policy has to change. That's on a larger scale. So I think I feel comfortable taking that to the committee, having a discussion, just to have the full picture before we do that. But certainly, I agree with you that aim for where we it's possible. The other aspects of
I'm not gonna make a motion for that, right? And you'll give the manager some easy marketing for their.
Thank you, the chair, on the same topic though. We would be interested if somebody was investing in the R&D for cleaning up the environment that we'll be using those for clean wool technology or something else. I believe it would be. I guess for research and development, technological change.
it gets complicated because right now we have to invest in the city set infrastructure, but other people are you know, regular, you're not allowed to, you do not have access to it. Those funds are helping build this out as well, again, 407 and some large infrastructure. These are not, very risky items, but the infrastructure projects that we all want to benefit from. The 407 is one of those. Is that a fossil free investment? No, it's not. We have investment in real estate. Those are not fossil free either. So it depends on how the definition. We can probably get some more information back from our investment manager
to say what's available and then what the impact would be. Because my thinking now is that depending on how far we go with that, it would have drastic impacts on our portfolio. And probably require all of it. Unfortunately, our sites and fossil fuels, so it's all about depending into pipeline fossil fuel. But you know, so it's one of those things. Happy to have that discussion.
So do you need a motion or are you just gonna bring it?
Yeah.
Motion to refer the discussion regarding fossil fuel free portfolios to the finance.
Second thing. Danny. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Here. And we will also ask for a the sector. Is everybody else comfortable with Sandy? Seeing not there, the sector received the update. Paul, and you. Oh, yes, that's what we need. So are you fine with the recommendation? That there is further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Hearing committee, there will be a hearing committee 9.2. There will be a hearing committee meeting 1 p.m. this afternoon. So you're all welcome to stay for that. Well, are there any notices of motion? Did you up for that? Seeing none. Here's a comment. I will keep it brief. So yes, we're going around getting the information of the municipality to have fee freeze resolution for councils. There's still a couple of them that have to meet in September. Stratford was supposed to be in August. Next up the agenda. So there's a couple of those. There's some further conversations that need to be had, both First East and for South have requested more information. So that hopefully provided, get that together, and then we have some further conversation. As mentioned, the conversation that came on regarding this, including with the minister, there was some concerns brought forward that we would from First South that they didn't want to get between the ministry and conservation board. Certainly, it's not about that. It's all stemmed from the conversation we had with the minister, Conservation Ontario, and being very open to feedback from the program. And just wanted to give me evidence on this, and certainly talk to the minister at hand about this, and said, please get me as fast as possible. Coming in September. They're going to have to make this. So I took that as positive as well. You've certainly seen the news stories that have been found, which are positive. This will wrap up in September, and we'll have some feedback before. And not the minister, make sure that this. So, all good stuff there. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of residents and councils. It's considered about a committee which gave universal support, unanimous support. Other than that, I hope everybody had a good summer. Time spent time in the conservation areas and the parks that you all like to enjoy. And we're not going to go over to members' comments. Mark.
I just want to say that this to be on August 10th, was the conservation area. Dragon boat races returned for the first time since 2019. The local Rotary Club did a huge job. We're going to 2014, so only I guess about 600 or 700 people minimum as far as competitive event. Down the conservation area. What it lended itself to as well, and then when the city of Woodstock is obviously at least agreeing with our conservation areas to continue to work on refurbishing that main bathroom and the small caves area, call that. Because even though there's a bathroom there, had 14 porta potties on site. Overuse. But it was great.
Also, thumbs up to whoever thought and staff. Whoever thought to just carry. Further member comment? And now we'll go to general mail.
Thank you, Brian. For you, just wanted to highlight a few things. You clearly mentioned some of the activities going on at our parks and how that's such a busy season. And who knows exactly these events happening and all the work that's being done. Also, it's been a busy season for everyone. I highlighted just last week, we had the final PPS, the provincial planning statement passed. A few areas that is we certainly saw a benefit of the new language and revised language incorporated into it. Past language in the natural hazard section specifically spoke about mitigating potential risks. Well, now that new language is development shall be directed away from natural. See how we use that, but in that avoidance factor first. Certainly there is another addition that we found great, and that was planning authorities shall, in collaboration with conservation authorities, identify hazardous lands, hazardous sites, and manage development. I think that those are some great additions and provides that clarity that conservation authorities certainly play a role. When speaking about hazards, water. Water's been a big issue. We've had lots of water and rain and precipitation that's kept water and information team very busy on a few different fronts. First, there was the tragedy of the girl in London slipping into the Thames. The fire chief actually made special efforts to make sure that staff were aware of how much it was appreciated to be able to operate finish our dams, reduce flows to allow the it's good to hear that feedback and recognize it. They appreciate it. Again, projects are exactly to help out. Another areas of water. We had some water in the dam in the tunnels, and some function having to evacuate that. Quite a lot of work for staff, but that's something that's taken care of. And but one of those other effects of working in and around water as well. Carrington Dam precipitation last weekend significantly events caused overtopping of water on Carrington Dam. So on site, stand bagging in those areas, and looking for what so lots going on when there's lots of water, keeping us busy. It's a certain one that we will sort of as well. Wanted to mention there is a field tour of the demonstration farm. You might have already seen it on socials and things that which also going to share the poster too and movies as well. If they're available on the 4th of September at 10 a.m. There'll be lots of discussion about the suite of agricultural investments or practices that are happening on that farm. And even revenue flow. Sorry, the time to record about some of the new technologies. So again, lots going on with all departments, keeping us busy and just an update on some of the things that have been happening in summer and hopefully just so the economy.
With that, I will ask you to move further.